All right. Listen about this. This is you'll enjoy some of the stuff I have to say today. First of all, I didn't know I was supposed to speak until about 2 days ago. So surprise, I'm here, um, and I put some stuff together, and it's so funny. He told me I think Friday morning. Then all of a sudden he calls back. He goes, "Hey, we want to celebrate your new house and everything, and let's have dinner at my place." And Jeff and Michelle are unbelievable hosts. I don't know if you've ever been to their house. I mean, they put a spread on. I mean, they brought out the best wine. I mean, oh my gosh. The room was all decorated up the table, and Jeff, he's an unbelievable cook. He made gyro meat. I mean, we had these salads and stuff in gyro meat, and so he says, "Listen, I'm going to start a new series," and he says, "I'll give you my notes and outline so you could, maybe introduce it, whatever." So, anyways, that was Friday. All right, Friday night. Saturday, I had my son Luke help me with moving, and what happened was I didn't get to start doing this until last night. So, anyways, bear with me with this. But the funny thing is, I looked at his notes, his outline. There's like 27 pages. I said, "You gotta be joking me." I said, "Oh my gosh, I don't know, Michelle, if you saw that." Like, I'm going, like another page, another page. I said, "This is no way." I mean, this is Jeff's message, all right. And I told him I just took I'm going to promote his series, and the series. Oh well, I had to back up a little bit because. So, anyways, I learned Friday, and I don't know. This. I don't know. It's this dye. Methylene blue. You ever hear about methylene blue? So, it's good for your. They say it's good for your memory and stuff. Because I've been hit in the head a few times, so the thing is, I'm thinking, I want to have a good memory. So that to me, I want to, bless you guys, and it's good for Lyme disease. And so funny, like 4 days ago, I got bit by a tick. I'm pulling it out, and so far, I'm not. It wasn't a bullseye, yeah. So I'm fine with that. I get ticks all the time, so I'm like a dog. Not that I roll around in the grass, whatever. But But anyways, it's so funny. My wife. So what it does, it's this blue dye. It goes through your system. But when you go to the bathroom, the toilet is blue. All right. So anyways. Connie probably thinks I'm putting these blue tablets in the water in all the toilets in our house, but I figured I'll wonder if this stuff works or not. I do it on and off. You don't supposed to do it on a regular basis. They discovered it even cures malaria. It just shows you how important for infections and stuff like that, and parasites. But anyways, Jeff started this new series, and it says, "Who needs church?" Whoa! Now think about that. And it's sad how it got watered down with this COVID stuff. And even like with social media, because everybody, it's funny, like nobody wants to talk to anybody no more. Everybody wants to be by themselves. Even like when I go to the gym, they put the earphones in and don't disturb me. Because I'm on my workout, and I look at sometimes Luke and she's laughing because they know I go to gym, and I have. So when Luke comes, I have a blast with him in a gym. That we just pick on people like crazy. It's all it's bad. But the thing is, but my point is this: like COVID kind of hurt the church, and I feel bad how people think. And then I'm going to be talking about it in my story, how church is so important that about coming to church. And church is not a building, it's not the pastor up here, And in the second song, Connie had mentioned about where church is. Church is in each one of us. It's not in a temple. It's not in a tabernacle. The Holy Spirit's in each one of us. God's word is with us. So the thing is, if that's the case, then why we're not, getting together and talking about it? It's so funny. I went to our new house, and we're putting this top coat on our garage, and I met this guy. He was probably like in his 30s, and we start talking. All right, and I'm not much of a talker. I'm not. You don't realize I could. People know me. I go up to the farm and nobody bothers me up on the farm. We have a farm, and so. But anyways, I realize how important it is to the communication and to have fellowship. And so when we start talking, and the guy started telling me about his situation. At 17, he got in a real bad car accident. He had his leg broken 20 different places. All right, they were going to amputate it. All right, just broken bones, a real bad car accident. And the thing is, at the time, he was saying, I said, what was you doing? And he was saying he was involved with the mafia. Yeah, and 17-year-old. All right, he's clean now. I mean, he had to even go to jail for a year. All right, afterwards. But I mean, he said he was the UPMC Hospital Child of the Year because he was dead. He was pronounced dead, and how they recovered him and healed him up. And he looked at him. He's like, wow, he looks great. And I kept on saying, you need to tell your story. I mean, and if that's the thing, everybody has a story. And that's what God, I think the whole thing about his disciples. I mean, you look like there was no two alike. Everybody, you look at their backgrounds, and everybody has a story. And to me, that's part of I feel why we come to church, to hear other people's stories and testimonies and encourage them. And I'll get into that, but it says, who needs church? And this is the catchphrase that Jeff's going to use in his series. Right? Oh, and here's the thing about Jeff. He is not taking a day off today. All right, God bless him. I mean, he's unbelievable. He drove all the way up to Michigan for his friend that he went to school with in college, and he's giving a message up there at his church. And you think about that. I mean, and his friend called him up last minute. Same thing with him, and he says, yeah, I'll do it. So there's no way I could have said no to him. Like, he knew how to put me in a corner, all right? And some of you heard my story before, and I look back. It was over 2 years ago. I think last time I gave a message up here was like with the music. It was in the 70s music, whatever. I did a cowboy theme, whatever. So, but anyways, Michelle's laughing. But anyways, here's the catchphrase. Who needs church? I did, I still do, and so do you. And, I said about the second song how, church is not this building. All right? It's in each one of us. All right? That's where church is at. And I'll get into that more. The people are the church, and the Bible talks about not about buildings and things and stuff like that. The Bible's all about stories. Think about that. When you read the Bible, it's all about these people doing this and that, and look how we are blessed and how we're encouraged, how we find truth in those stories. All right, and that's what the Bible's all about. And to me, through and this is, I'm going to repeat this. Through stories, you get wisdom. All right, because of the experiences people were going through. Now think about that. I'm going to say it one more time. All right, I'll talk a lot enough, but I'll say it again, repeat. Through stories, you get wisdom because of the experiences people were going through. And again, if you look at, some of the stories in the Bible are and you say, wow, they screwed up, did this, did that happened to them, and all of a sudden, guess what? It sounds like me, and you start realizing how important a story is, and your story is. You don't have no idea the effect that when that kid, he was like, I don't know if he was even 30. When he was talking to me, I was the whole time I kept on saying in my subconscious mind, you need to tell your story. And I told him that about 5-6 times. You need to tell your story. And this story I'm going to tell you today is not even my story. It's God's story. It's God's story. All right. So, anyways, and truth is found through experiences. Think about that. I'm going to say it again. Truth is found through experiences. We're always looking for truth. And I tell you what, if you're on your phone looking at these phone apps and this and that and stuff, I tell you what, it's scary. I mean, now with this AI stuff, they put so-and-so talking, and it's not even them talking, and you think you're going to find truth through that phone. It's sad now. And I think about how we're consumed, just by that little thing, that phone. And it's sad. And to me, I use it to answer someone, and a lot of times people know me. It's hard to get a hold of me. I don't even use it throughout the day. I'll look at it about 4 times a day, and that's it. And a lot of people get mad at me. Hey, how come you don't pick up your phone? Well, I don't want it to own me. I mean, that's me personally. I know some people with their jobs, it requires you to have a phone, whatever. I get it. But for me, it's so funny. Both Luke and Lydia, they're not on social media, and it wasn't because, I don't know if it was because of me or not, but I mean, they feel it's a waste of time, like hearing all this stuff, and again, how much is it true? What is truth? And truth comes through experiences. Think about that. That's how you're going to get truth. And you look at the Word, the Bible, the truth in there is unbelievable. I mean, written, thousands of years ago. And the thing is this: we all have stories or experiences, and they need to be shared. And you stop and think, who needs church? I know you're listening to me today. The thing is, you know where a church is? It starts as soon as you pull in the parking lot and you're walking in the parking lot. Church starts when you walk through those doors and you're in the foyer back there and you're grabbing food and a cup of coffee and you're talking to people and you're telling how's your week and this and that. The church starts, down in the kitchen, down in the kids' room and stuff. To me, there's where truth starts and the real stories, people that you cannot. Someone's experience. That's where it starts. Like you look at a story. Someone's telling you a story or about their week or this and that. You think they're lying to you? They're telling you the truth. This is what happened to me this week. And again, it's how you're going to respond and stuff. Why do you think we come together as a church? And I know Jeff's going to get more in depth with that. I'm just giving you a little tidbit of what he's going to be talking about on his series. So, anyways, I'm going to share my story, which is not even my story; it's God's story, because I shouldn't even be here today. All right, and if some of you I know heard my story, because Jeff and Michelle, they always want me to share my story, and I says, hey, you know what? Some of you already heard it a few times already and stuff, and Pat's back there laughing. He goes, yeah, I'm going to hear Pete's story again. And so, anyways, but the thing is this: you're going to hear the story, but look how God, He wasn't done with me yet. All right, and you'll see why. And let me just back up. I mean, so in his catchphrase, why do I need church? Well, I did, and I didn't know at the time I did. I grew up Russian Orthodox, so half the sermon was in Russian, the other half was in English. And I remember going up, and we had to get dressed up. There was no AC, there was no heat in the wintertime. It was a small church, and I remember I sat, the priest was up here, and I sat way in the back, and there we had murals on the wall, and I sat back there, and I remember seeing Jesus picking up Peter out of the water, and Jesus is on water, and I'm thinking, man, that's pretty cool. That was my and right up here there was a picture of Jesus on a cross up in the ceiling, and I'm thinking, why did they kill that guy? I'm serious. I mean, that's the way growing up, like in my early years. Then all of a sudden, at 13, it was my 13th birthday, and my dad says, "Listen, I'll allow you to play one sport. I don't care what it is. I'm not going to cart your butt all over the place. I'm going to allow you to play one sport, and that's it." So at the time, I couldn't wait to get off the farm. I mean, he worked my butt off. I mean, he did. I mean, you have no idea how hard my dad was on me. And I said, well, football got to be easy. And it was. Well, I sat on the bench in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. I didn't get no playing time. But, hey, it was a lot easier than than working on a farm, Then all of a sudden, it's my senior year. I'm a senior, so all the seniors, and we only had one junior at start. I mean, because back then, mostly all the seniors started back then. There's no such thing as sophomores or freshmen starting at varsity level. So anyways, I started, and I played linebacker, outside linebacker, and guard. I played the whole game. I played on special teams and everything. So anyways, before the season started, guess what? Our school goes on strike. It was one of the longest teacher strikes ever. It was. We didn't go back until November, but to me, it was a great life. I mean, no school you're 17 years old, no school. I mean, I would do my chores on a farm in the morning and all things because when I come home from school, I had to do chores. But since I had no school, so I did them in the morning. Then I would take my dog and go hunting in the afternoon, and it was a Wednesday afternoon, bright sunny day. And I'm about 2 miles away from my parents' farm, and I was doing small game hunting with my dog, and we're on this pipeline, and this pipeline came down towards this hollow, and there was a little plateau right there, and another real big ravine, about a 15-foot ravine. So I walked down to this the pipeline in the woods, and what happened was I saw this guy in the woods. And I kept on walking, and he got closer, and he got closer, and he got closer. So anyways, what happened was we were talking. So just picture this. We were about down, here's the pipeline coming down. It came down, and there's like a plateau about as big as that. And we're talking, all right? And I remember I looked at my watch. I says, listen, I got to get going. I'm going to be late for practice. So he was right there, and I could picture everything, and I don't have the time to get in all the details. But anyways, he says, "All right," and I walked this way, and as soon as I got to this part right here, and there's a 15-foot ravine, and I got halfway down there, and as I got halfway down, I heard a shot go off, and he shot me in the back of the head, and I mean, it's just the grace of God because. I have no idea, that close range, he should have nailed me pretty good, but he was a bad shooter. Thank God he was a bad shooter. But anyways, what happened was, and it was one of the, well, that's not it. I got something in my pocket. There's that. I got stuff. This thing messed me up, this mic thing. But anyways, this is a shotgun shell. That's what he shot me with. It's a 12 gauge, and it has probably a couple hundred BBs in there, and it's good for close range for small game, and that's what if you want to you could look at it. That's what it passed it around. So what happened was I fell down in a ditch. So from there he's back here, and he couldn't see me, so he thought he killed me. Man, he's like, yeah, I got this guy. And all of a sudden, he walks over like this. He starts walking, and I don't know, the grace of God. I mean, I remember I turned around, and I stood up, and I'm looking this way now, and I didn't see him yet. And all of a sudden, I went to reach for my head because I knew there was something wrong. And I just felt all the blood coming down, the warm blood coming down. And I'm trying to feel I had an ear left. And the bullet came back in here, right back in here, and just blew the whole side of my face. And I didn't think I had an ear left, so I'm trying to find if I had an ear. And when I looked down at my hand, my whole hand was covered with hair, my hair and blood. And all of a sudden, I just saw it pouring out of me. And I remember my whole body, I started trembling. I remember I had my gun looking, I'm down here like this. I'm looking up like this. And I remember I took the safety off, and my whole body was trembling. And he walks over, and he was shocked to see me standing. And what happened was I thought I never had an ear. I'm thinking, very first thought in my head was, when I go back to school, everybody's going to laugh at me. I'm going to have only one ear, walk around with one ear. That was my very first thought. As teenagers, it's all about image, I mean, even back then, I'm a farm boy. I mean, it was bad enough, like, I wasn't even allowed to wear jeans to school. I mean, my dad wouldn't allow me to wear jeans to school. I mean, just to let you know. I mean, so anyways, I remember, and he's looking at me, he goes, and I was ready to pull the trigger. And I never shot anybody in my life. I mean, I'm a hunter. I killed animals all my life. I grew up in a farm. We killed, cows, pigs, all that good stuff. I mean, chickens. So I have no problem doing that. I mean, I tell Al, his dog is giving him a problem. I said, listen, bring him up to the farm. I have no problem with his dog, I told him, and he's looking at me like, good thing Lyndon's not here, but anyways, hey, listen, the deal's still on. I mean, I shot someone's dog. I had no problem doing that. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, and that story got around the whole WPIL when I was coaching. But my thing was this. So what happened was I was down in that thing, and where am I supposed to shoot this guy? But because of my time, I don't have much time. I want to. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out. What happened was I said, get out of here. You better start running. And he ran back up over that pipeline, which could see for maybe about another 100-some yards, and then he disappeared. So I crawled up out of that ravine, and my dog was with me. My dog knew there was something wrong, maybe because he smelled my blood, whatever. But where he ran to was towards my parents' house. So I knew there's no way. He might be hiding behind a tree, or he might be, he's going to circle around and try to get me. So I knew that was a mistake to go 2 miles towards my parents' house, and I'm thinking, I wasn't sure what to do. And what happened? Oh, and here's the BBs right here. I'll show you. When I went to the hospital. So what happened was, I remember when I crawled up out of the ditch, and that's that way, and there was like a trail right here, and I went down like this, and I just curled up in a ball. And the blood was just coming out of me. I don't know if you ever had a head injury. Your blood comes out of your head is unbelievable because all the capillaries, whatever they say, is so tight, woven and everything. So what happened was I'm down here, and I go, oh, please, God. And I don't know, I just said that, please, God, don't let me die. And I was so scared. I'm going to go, please, God, don't let me die. Don't let me die. And I kept on saying, oh, God, I'll do anything. I'll do anything, God. Please don't let me die. And I had my gun with me right there. And my dog, I remember he came right here next to me, and he's looking at me. And I go, oh, please, God, don't let me die. I said, I'll do anything. I said, I'll be good. I said, I'll be good to my parents. And I go, and I said, I'll do anything. God, please, God, don't let me die. And all of a sudden, and you know what? I believe in miracles. Unbelievable. I mean, we just had one this morning, my wife and me. God is so good. She said, coming here, she goes, I wish I knew you was going to be speaking. I would have picked different songs for your message because there's so many good songs. And there's a song out. It's called God's Story. And you talk about, I don't believe in coincidence. Jeff, I tease Jeff about this all the time, about coincidence. We're in the car, in the truck right now, coming over, and she says, I'm going to play it for you on my phone. And so anyway, she gets it on her phone, and she has to, and the truck is on my phone, so she tries to rig up her phone to the truck radio, and all of a sudden, I turn the radio on, and I'm thinking, oh, and she thought so too that she has a song on. So it's just called God's Story by Anna Wilson. And I think I'm going to allow play it with you afterwards, after the message. It's unbelievable because it talks about being down that ditch. And so, anyways, Connie's trying to on her phone, like back it up, back it up. She couldn't back it up, and all of a sudden, it was on the radio. It was on the radio. What are the chances that song at that time when we were talking about it? Think about that. At that moment, and it was Ann Wilson talking about God's story, and it's talking about each one of us has a story, and that's why I think Jeff and Michelle wanted me to get into how important church is, So anyways, I'm down there, and this is the truth. I mean, I don't know. You talk about God's presence. I never knew God, but you know what? I knew my soul. It was tugging on me and saying, because I knew my heart was going to stop. I saw all the blood. I was starting to count my blood, how much blood I had left in me, and I knew average person has like 5.5 quarts. I don't know if you knew that, and I'm thinking, hopefully I have a little bit more in me, like I'm a big boy, So, but that's the average. You're laughing. No, true. And I'm down there. I'm thinking, is that 1 cup of blood? I'm gonna think like I know because we would can. I knew what a pint was. I knew what a quart was. I knew the measurements of liquid. So, anyways, I'm down there, and I don't know what you want to say or whatever. I just felt someone's hand on my shoulder. And I shouldn't even be here, but anyways, what happened was I felt like someone just grabbed me, and I remember going up and I remember that day perfectly. It was unbelievable. I could spend hours talking about every detail, but here's what I don't remember. When I got up, I do not remember what happened after that. And people say, oh, that's because you was in shock or that. I don't know. But I remember the only place I went, it was straight up this hill towards my aunt's house, and it was thick. You couldn't even run through it. And all I remember was as if someone carried me up that hill. And I remember I was on top of that hill, and it was my aunt's house right there. It was about a third of a mile away, maybe between a quarter to a third of a mile away, straight up this hill. And I remember I took I remember walking right where I walked at the top of the hill. I remember the t-shirt I had on. I put it over my head because I was bleeding so bad. I jumped onto her porch, and I went into her house where the kitchen was. I go, Aunt Betty, call my mom. I said, I've been shot. And she panicked. And I remember I said, by the way, do you have any aspirin? And I said, my head is killing me. And I remember before she called my mom, she opened it, and she was shaking too, and aspirin went over. And while she was talking to my mom on the phone, because we had landlines, we had no cell phones. I remember she was calling, and I was grabbing aspirin. I was just chewing on aspirin like this. And I remember sitting there with my like this. I'm going like this, chewing on aspirin. I don't know how many. I must have took the whole bottle. I mean, so my mom picks me up, takes me to Mon Valley Hospital, and they couldn't operate on me because I had all that aspirin. So what happened was afterwards, the next day they operated, and they took out 97 BBs. They're right here. I won't throw it because they might go everywhere. You can pass it around. You can see the BBs that was in that shell. And so, anyways, I had 80 stitches. They stitched up my ear. They stitched up my whole head. I had all these stitches in my head, and they took out 97. And I forget how many stitches. Like I said, close to it was over 80. I think it was 83, whatever. But anyways, what happened was, and here's an X-ray. Till this day, I still have 22 left. I had 23, but one popped out. All right. I don't think it's funny, but I mean, but anyways, but you're making me laugh. But I mean, if you look, you could hold this up, and you can see all the BBs in through my head right there. And I'll pass that around if you want to see it. Just pass it around. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. And that's only part of my story. You have no idea. I shouldn't even be here. And the thing is, afterwards, I was trying to play football the week after, and nobody allowed me to play any football. I mean, they said you have trauma to your head. I mean, don't you even think about it. I went to all these different doctors. When I was practicing, they didn't allow me to practice that week because my coach, I'll tell you real fast what happened was that my coach, he calls me down. He calls me up Sunday night because I was in the hospital Wednesday to Sunday, and I get to the hospital. I'm all bandaged up. I like when I have those turbans on my head. And he goes, Pete, we made the playoffs, first time ever in EF history. It was before. That's where I went to school at EF. And he goes, I want you to be in all these pictures. All the press is coming. That's when there was probably about 15, 20 different newspapers, and they came up and took pictures, and he wanted me in the pictures, and I put my uniform on. And he goes, you want to play this Saturday? And we're going to play Butler at Mount Lebanon. And he goes, you want to play? I said, oh, Coach, I would love to play. He goes, I'll tell you what, if you put that helmet on, I'll allow you to play. And I remember they took all the air out of my helmet. I got it halfway down. And he goes, excuse me, this is exact words. He goes, hell, son. He goes, he called everybody son. And he was he was almost as worse as my dad. Everybody feared this guy. So what happened was he says, well, if you could wear that equipment, I'll allow you to play, but you have to get a doctor's notice. So all week long, after practice, nobody was allowed to hit me, so I would go and go to practice. And afterwards, my mom took me to our regular doctor, and he said no. Then next day, same thing. He didn't allow me to, nobody would clear me. Then the next day, she had 2 appointments, same thing. And then Friday came around. She picked me up from the practice. She took me way out in the country to Sutersville, and this guy sat me down in his chair, and I remember he was pulling on my stitches, and I'm trying not to make any sounds, and I'm just sitting there, oh my gosh, he's hurting me. He's hurting me. I mean, because they're still they're not even, they're 8 days old, and I still have them all in my head, and he said, I think you could play. And I was like that. I go, okay. And he wrote out a doctor's pass, and we left his house because it was in the bottom of his basement, and it was almost as big as this room, all this medical stuff. And I said, Mom, where'd you find this guy? And she goes, you know who this guy is? She goes, he's our veterinarian. And that's and I'm thinking, I had Luke and Lydia. I would never do that, but Connie would never let me do that. I said, yeah, and no, but the reason is, listen to this. How God. This is God's story because I played a game. That game got me a scholarship to Connecticut, and you know what? Best thing ever happened. I meet my wife. 40 years later, we've been married, and that's the best thing that came out of Connecticut. I mean, it wasn't a football career. She was in my dorm our junior and senior year, and that's how we met. And I mean. And I could tell you, even like in the pros, you have no idea how God was always there, and He's with each one of you. And I got to wrap this up because I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. But anyways, I got pages here, but I'm just go right to the end. I'm not as bad as Jeff. I am not as bad as Jeff. All right. But. I just says I'm going to wrap this up because this is time to go. We need each other. And in Genesis 2:18, it's not good for man to be alone. And if it was, why did He create Eve? Think about that. He knew it wasn't good for man to be alone. Why do you think part of church is assembling, right? What we're doing right now, because like it says, church starts in a parking lot. Church is even after the message. Because people hang around, talk, and this and that, and get to know each other, and life experiences, because that's where truth is, and life is experiences, and I love this. And I was talking to Luke yesterday, and I had to write this down. We are called to love everyone. That's our mission. We are called to love everyone. All right. And how are you going to do that on your own if you don't even know, if you're not going to get transformed, if you're not learning how to change? And that's what bothers me when people say, well, this is who I am, this I'll always act this way. Well, you're not going to change me. Whoa. I mean, if you're not, then you're going backwards in life. To me, you should always be growing. always be growing. I mean, that's why read a book or they take, like they say, if you do 15 minutes out of the Bible, you can read the whole Bible in 1 year. But you know what? There's stuff that I don't even understand in the Bible and doesn't make sense. And you look at Jeff, he just breaks it down and he explains to each of us how what they're talking about. Like, when was it? Why are they saying it? Who's he saying it to? Why are they bringing it up? Why are they talking in stories, parables and stuff like that? But anyways, I just want to leave you with this. We are precious gifts from God, and we should value and care for each one under our circumstances. I don't care. We all have situations. We all have problems, stuff that comes up, rises, and guess what? You're here. You think for you, yeah, okay, but you don't know how you could touch one other person. Understand that. Don't be selfish. And that's why I look at it online. Yeah, it's great if you're traveling, you're on vacation or something, but man, come to church. I mean, because you don't realize, when it's all said and done, like when you do a missions trip, you look back and you say, man, I was more blessed than these people I'm helping. And that's the same thing in church. When I come here, you don't realize, I mean, you give me, I asked Elle this morning in the parking lot. He's so funny. He goes, well, this ain't a good time to talk about this. He goes, it's kind of late. You should talk to me earlier, in a week. And I said, why would I didn't want to tell him. I didn't realize I was going to speak 2 days ago. So the thing is, because it energizes you. You look at your week, and you get like a little dose of like, wow, okay, I could do this. I could do one more week. But you know what the thing is? I look at you, and I'm thinking, you don't realize how you're blessing me by hearing you, being around you, and just like there's like an energy, and that energy is the Spirit, and the Spirit knows. And to me, I realize that in life, it's how you look at things. I get to go to church. I don't have to. And a lot of people don't realize that. Man, you get to go to church. Look how much, I hope you understand what that means. You get to go. But anyways, God lives inside of each one of us. Remember I said, church is, God is not in this building. It's in each one of us. So I'm learning about God, or more about Him, through each one of you. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I had to write down that methylene blue ain't helped me too much. I mean, I knew I couldn't remember that. People need what God has given you. So the thing is this: God's given you something. You have you think, your life is like this person's life. I look at it this way. You look at a puzzle, and just say everybody here is a piece of puzzle. If someone's missing, guess what? That puzzle is not complete. So you have no idea. Yeah, you think you're coming for yourself. You have no idea. You might be coming for someone else, and you won't believe. Like, I look around, and the people that I have a chance to talk to, I'm praying for this person. I'm praying for this person. I'm praying, and I don't want to name people because we all have situations we're going through. And you have no idea what happened to me this week. I mean, I won't even tell you, but I mean, and I'm bummed about it, but you know what? I always look at it this way. God knows the timing all the time, and I have no idea. I'm questioning why it happened to me this week, and I feel bad, and I'm thinking, and I look at it like, well, I'm not going to question Him. The thing is, I don't want to say, why God? Why me, God? And that's the worst thing to do, question God. And, we have no idea. He sees the bigger picture. And to me, the biggest thing is like, what, God? What are you trying to show me? And that's why I always try to ask, okay, this happened. Okay, what are you trying to show me? And even Michelle said something with our house closing. It was a month late, and I didn't realize. And you know what? God's timing is unbelievable. And I thank God for that. So anyways, who needs church? We all do. We all do. And I'm going to close in prayer. Stick around if you want to. Stephanie, you have that song. It's called "Our God's Story," and I know you heard it if you listen to Christian radio, or whatever. It's a great thing. But Lord, let's you could say, you don't have to stand. It's just Lord, we just thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for your love. Thank you for what you did for us. Thank you for the hope and faith that you blessed us with, that we can look forward to a great future. Thank you for all these people in here and their stories, and let them know that their stories need to be told too. And thank you for allowing us to just be always in your presence, and you're always with us all the time, Lord. We just thank you for all that, and we just thank you for this day in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.